Lights out. The rest of chapter 3. And I'm going to have it memorized if I have to read it one or two more times. Got to put my lights out hat on. Sorry. From here on out, I don't know if this is recording or not. I'm never going to know. So I'm just going to barrel through. And the last video that got uploaded is gone. I uploaded it. It did. And then it corrupted. So I'm not betting this one's going to happen. So as far as how I look or anything, live with it. I mean, if I got a chance to do a video, I'm going to do it. And if it works, I'm going to upload it. So we'll deal with the chips later. Deal with the chips however they fall. On his way home, Mark figured he should probably stop by the house to see if Jess or the kids had perhaps gotten a ride home. As he was driving through one of the poorer sections of town, he noticed a lot of people eyeing the Jeep. He reached under the seat, unzipped a case, and put his Colt lightweight Commander under his thigh. If someone wanted to carjack him, he figured the .45 was way better than the .32 he always kept in his back pocket. See, I've got it memorized. As he drove, he thought about what they might need. They had their own well and could run the pump with the gasoline generator. Mark was pretty sure that it would work since it was similar to the one Billy had been using at work. He could fill up the camper tanks, and he had a couple of plastic 55-gallon barrels he used to haul water down to the deer lease. That would take care of water for a while. Food might be a problem. Jess was notoriously bad about waiting until there was nothing to eat before she went to the store. He knew the camper had some food in it, but he wasn't sure how much was there or how old it might be. Most of the deer he had killed last year was still in the freezer. They would have to do something with that anyway, with the power out. Before he knew it, he was turning into his subdivision, Silver Hills. Hoorah. It was just over the Wilson County line and consisted of about 61 to 5-acre lots, about 50 of which had homes on them. A medium-sized farm on each side and a large ranch in the back bordered the development. Mark's 4 acres were toward the back, and when he pulled into the driveway, David was shooting a basketball at the goal over the garage. "Hey, Dad," David shouted as he ran toward the Jeep. "How did you get home?" Mark asked. "Mom and I walked. It only took us about an hour." "What about your sister? The school bus brought her." "That's great," Mark said as he headed toward the front door. As he walked in, he noticed how hot the house was. It wasn't as hot as Jim's had been, though, since all the doors and windows were open. "God, I'm glad you're home," Jess said as she came around the corner. She was 5'3" with red hair and green eyes. Mark remembered that the first time he saw her, he thought she was the prettiest girl he had ever seen. She was still pretty, and had an Irish temper, still. Mark had learned to avoid when possible. She had studied to become a marine biologist, but when there was no work in her field to be had, she'd gone back to school to get her teaching certificate, and now taught 8th grade biology and 7th grade earth science. "I'm so glad you're all home. I figured I would have to pick you all up." "No, David and I walked before it got too hot, and Samantha got a ride home on the bus." "How did you get home?" Jess asked. "We got some new parts for the Jeep." "Are all the school buses running?" "No, only about half, just the old ones." "Remember the school bond that got voted down last year and how mad I was about it?" "Yeah, well, some of that money was going to replace those old school buses. Now I'm glad it didn't pass." "Do you know everything that's going on?" "Pretty much, I think. We heard some at school, and when I got home, I went out to your shed and got your shortwave radio. I had to get batteries out of some of the flashlights to get it to work, but I've been listening off and on for the last 2 hours. "The shortwave works?" Mark said. "Well, duh. It was in a metal shed, metal cabinet in a metal building." "Good. Well, maybe everything in the shed was protected." "Maybe, but we don't have any water. We only flushed a couple times and washed our hands, and then the pressure dropped to nothing." "Well, duh, back at you, Miss Science Whiz. The pressure tank is only 7 gallons. "That's stupid. It should be larger." "Should be a lot bigger." "Well, it's not, but I think we can use a generator to run the pump." "Good. Can you do it now?" "No, I have to go pick up Jim and Lisa, and I want to see if the truck will run. We're going to bring their camper over, and I figured we could stay in ours until the lights come back on." 2. "By the way, when was the last time you went to the store?" "Day before yesterday, but I didn't buy that much." "Is there enough to get us by for 3 or 4 days?" "Yes, I think so." "Okay, I'm going to go out and check the truck and camper out." "Okay. Before you go, John Olson, you know that former Marine who runs by the house early every morning? came over earlier and said he and some of the other men were going to have a meeting at his house after the vice president's speech. He said they were going to talk about putting some kind of guard at the entrance of the subdivision. He said he really wanted you to come. Lights out.